All right, welcome back to Tanya. We are in the midst of a discussion. And discussion is all about kavana. Kavana means intent. Intent means you got to know what you're talking about. If you don't know what you're talking about, you can't have intent. You got to, meaning you have to understand something, right? So we said in last chapter that there's different types of people who do kavan, who do a mitzvah. Yeah, the person who appreciates the mitzvah. Why? Because he learns, he studies, and he thinks about what he learned and studies, and based on that a contemplation, the result of it is a love and fear of God. That is analogous to a person. A person is defined as intellectual. Well, hopefully, should be. Not all are, but we'll give the person here the benefit of the doubt, right? And so that kavana is analogous to that of a person. Then you have another kavana. The kavana is called the animal kavana. Why the animal kavana? Because the animal is instinctive. The animal doesn't do things because it understands it to be so. The animal's programmed that way, right? A lion who kills the antelope, whatever it is, the zebra, it's not bad. It's programmed that way, right? An animal who has an instinct to do something, motherly, whatever it is, doesn't appreciate it. So anything that's coming, not because it's developed intellectually, but it's a revelation of something inherent and instinctive. It's called animalistic, not in a bad way. It's just the way we're terming it. So you have the man kavana and the animal kavana. You have the developed appreciation of God and the love and fear of God, and you have the natural, because it's natural, it's just revealed. Now, one of the things we find very interesting in Kabbalah and in other places is that angels have all these animalistic character traits. And why? So what I was going to say now is because why do angels love and fear the Eibishter? Is because that's their very nature. They're revealing their nature. Let's get into it. Chapter 39, page 549. And because of this, that's why the angels are called b'shem chayos. Animals, chayos are beasts, behemoths, and animals. And like the famous, you want a second candy or something? As it says in Ezekiel, Pnei Arei el Yamin, the face of a lion on the right side, Pnei Shar Mismael, and the face of an ox on the left side. Why? Because what does it really mean to be a human? To be a human means the ability to make choices. If you can't make a choice because you're controlled by instinct, then what's the difference between a free person and an enslaved person or an imprisoned person? What's the difference? They both eat, they both drink, they both work.
The free person can make a choice. The person
choices.
in prison is told what to do, where to go,
and when to do it.
Right.
And when to do it.
The difference is choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The difference is choice.
Unless the free person is not. If the free person is sick, then he's got to rely on somebody else.
Right. For example, a person who's an addict and indulges in the drugs or the alcohol, and he can't stop, do we say, "Oh, the guy's having a great time"? We say, "No, he's enslaved to his addiction. He can't say no." Being human is the ability to say no.
Just say no to drugs.
Say no to whatever it is. To ice cream too. Bad example. You should never say no to ice cream. You should never. Exactly. Remember that? Yeah.
Remember who said it?
That was a great advertisement.
Nancy Reagan.
No, Nancy Reagan didn't say, "This is your brain on drugs." Nancy Reagan was just say no. No,
She just said this is your brain on drugs.
no, that was a commercial.
Right.
I think she was out of office already when that thing came out, maybe. And so but it's to be free is to be a true intellectual is to choose. Now, you could be the greatest intellectual, but if you don't have free choice, then
You're not free.
you're not free, or it's your intellect is wasted on something, right? Why do angels serve God?
They have to.
Why do they have to?
Well,
To make sure you're whole.
No, you, they. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about them. Why do they have to? You're not wrong. You're just.
what they're supposed to do.
But do
have
you always
choice.
do what you're supposed to do? Ah.
No, do
They
I
have
always
no,
do
no. What? No, you said something.
What?
They have no choice. Why do they have no choice? Because there is no alternative. They're in the presence of godliness. Always. There is no alternative. There is no concealment of godliness there. So they have no choice. So they're doing what comes natural to them. Is that human? Is that the character trait we define as human? A character trait we define as animal. Animals. Anytime a person does something because they feel something instinctive, it's animalistic.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it doesn't mean it's bad. Like a mother goes and protects her child, or sometimes feels something, right? That's animalistic. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's instinctive. It's not intellectual. He didn't, figure it out. So that's why continuing over here, Lefi, page 550, Lefi she'ena bal bechira, because they don't have choice. And because they don't have choice. Why? Because if you go into the store and the only thing for sale is Coca-Cola and no Diet Coke, and I ask you, what did you buy? Coca-Cola. And you say, what? And I ask you, why did you choose Coca-Cola? Oh, I didn't choose. There was nothing else. That's not a choice. Right? No, choice
You
can
could
only...
go somewhere else.
No, I'm saying, but choice can only be when there's something else. Right?
Right.
So the angels don't have free choice. Why? Because there's nothing else. And their fear and love, is natural to them. It's explained in the Zayar, but who's higher? Angels or tzaddikim or righteous people? Why? No, you're right, but why?
Well, because they have free choice.
Right? They develop that love and fear of God.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The tzaddik, even though he's a great person, ultimately he has free choice. If a tzaddik wants to do something wrong, can he?
No.
Yeah,
He could.
yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't, but he has the physical ability to do so.
Okay.
He doesn't. Just like you have the physical ability to drink ammonia. You don't because you're not nuts in the head. No, by the way, that's the way the tzaddik looks at sin. By the way, the way that you look at ammonia, like
Mm-hmm.
no, that's the way the tzaddik
I
looks at
won't
it.
put holes in my stomach.
I'm saying, but that's the way the tzaddik looks at sin. That's why he doesn't sin. If we looked at sin that way, we would never sin. But ultimately, a tzaddik could drink ammonia. A malach, an angel, can't drink ammonia. So who's higher? The tzaddik, because his love and fear of God is developed on his own. Therefore, the advantage, the level of tzaddik is much higher. Because where do the souls of the angels come from? It's in the world of Bria. It's in the world of creation. We've learned that the four levels, the four worlds, the world of Atzilos, emanation. Under that is a world of Bria, creation. Under that is a world of Yitzir, formation. And finally, at the world of Asiyah, action, which is our domain. So the souls of the righteous, they come from the world of creation, level 2. I guess the souls of the souls, but the dwelling place of the angels, they are from the world of formation, and then Alter Rebbe adds in a note, by the way, he says, "V'hainu b'stam malachim." That's regular angels. But there are angels that come from the higher world, and they serve Hashem with intellectual fear and love. You have Malach Gavriel, Malach Michael, right? You have the heavy hitters over there. But generally speaking, there are two types of holy chayas: tivim, sichlum, natural and intellectual. But generally speaking, angels serve God instinctively. Tzadikim serve God intellectually. And the difference between Bria and Yitzir is, I think it might be worthwhile to remind ourselves what's the function of these four worlds. So you have God, right? And you have the world. Our world is a final product of an idea that God had. God had an idea, right? And what you see here is an idea. So everything you see around, right? Earpods started out as an idea, right? Who's the first one to make earpods? Let's say Apple. I don't know if it is or it's not. Or Bluetooth ear thing. Right? Let's say it was Apple, right? And I don't know if it's Steve Jobs, so don't correct. But let's say Steve Jobs came up with the idea in his head. See, no, instead of having the earplugs that plug into your phone, wouldn't it be better if it was wireless, right? And in your ear? I'll ask you a question. When that idea was in his head, could that idea be stolen, corrupted, and passed off as someone else's idea?
Yes.
When it was inside his head, I said.
Oh, inside his head.
No.
No. Because he was thinking to himself.
Right.
Steve Jobs was thinking in a particular way about earpods, but to himself. So when God is thinking of an idea, so to speak, when God's light is shining, but it's only, so to speak, to himself, we still exist within God, but in a way that it cannot be corrupted. It's absolute godliness. That world is called Atzilus. Atzilus is the world of emanation. It's godliness shining in a very particular way, but in a way that cannot be corrupted. Then Steve Jobs writes on just a piece of paper, a post-it note. He writes, earphones, wireless, right? That. Now, let's say for our argument, for our case, Steve Jobs pictured this product. Let's say, okay. But let's say I come or you come and we see on the note the words wireless and headphones. What are the chances we're going to come up with this product from those two words?
We're not.
No, you might invent something,
Right.
but the fact that now you can take an idea and you can pass it off and you can take it and corrupt it, even though it's the chances that you're going to get the product that I imagine in my head or Steve Jobs it, right? So that's Bria. Bria, it means creation, not because creation is there. It's because the idea that creation, like we have it now, and we identify as independent entities, right? We all think that we're Superman, like what's his name? The Jewish comedian Jerry Seinfeld says, when boys are growing up and reading Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, these are fantasies, these are options, right? Every man thinks of himself as a superhero. Every human being thinks of himself as independent. I don't need God. I only need God so to move the hurricane, or to get the parking space, or to win the lottery. Otherwise, stay out of my way, right? Kind of thing. Even though that's nonsense. But where does that idea start? Where it can be corrupted, and in the idea that we can pass off our existence as our own, that starts off with just a little note. Wireless headphones. That's what's called Bria. Then Steve Jobs takes a notepad, not just a post-it note, and starts writing, right? It should be wireless. It's going to be Bluetooth. It's going to be rechargeable case. It's going to be. He writes down. He sits there with his board of animatronics, right? Disney, and he comes up. The idea begins to take shape. It begins to take form. That's why the world's called formation. Nothing's happened yet, But now you have rechargeable case, you have headphones, right? You have locator, you have all these things, right? All these different things. Now I could look at that, and I could take it, and I can really now take the idea and pass it off as my own, because it's a fully fledged out idea, but it hasn't been implemented yet, right? But now I can show you in my office. Someone once gave me like a knockoff of earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
But once something is made, let's say for example, before AirPods, maybe before you knew about AirPods, right? When AirPods just came out, so check this out. It's the newest thing. Who made it? Samsung, Apple, Nokia. Meaning the fact that you're looking at it and it doesn't scream Apple, right? There's no Apple logo here. Maybe in those tiny words, but you got to be young to read, right?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't, right? So the fact that it means that it's so well concealed, right? That's the world of action. Once you do something, it can be totally disconnected from the source. And even though you needed a guy to think of the idea, you needed the guy to form the idea, to what ideas are in, what the ideas are out. That is the world of action. So you have the world of emanation when you're thinking to yourself. You have the world of creation where you just jot down and the idea becomes from your mind. Now it's an idea on paper.
Okay, now, I knock off for $20. I don't know the difference.
Exactly. Then you have the formation where you flesh out the idea. The idea takes form. Then you implement it. I remember hearing the story that in the late 1990s, two animated movies came out at the same time. Very similar. One was made by Disney, and one was made by DreamWorks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The one made by Disney was called A Bug's Life,
Mm-hmm.
and the one made by DreamWorks was called Ants.
Yes.
And in the article or whatever it was, it says it's a very big coincidence that two studios came out
With the same movie.
with a movie about ants, about bugs. So what happened? There was a guy who worked for Disney while the movie A Bug's Life was being created. Not was they were starting the movie. The idea is, well, how should we do it? They didn't start color. I'm dating myself. Making it on the computer, whatever it is. And he got angry, and he left Disney, and he went to DreamWorks and said, "Here, I'm going to give you an idea that Disney is working on." But they had only the seminal idea. They didn't have the full-fledged product, right? So they thought they're going to come out with a similar idea. But what happened? You have one is ants, and one is A Bug's Life. So the levels of creation, where it's bullet points. You could look at the bullet points and you have no idea what the guy is going to say. Very, very, maybe lady. Oh, okay, maybe that makes sense. The tzadikim are from a way higher level. The angels. He said, "Ba'olam ha'yitzira," back inside. "Ba'olam ha'yitzira," in the world of yitzira, in the world of formation. Only the motive. Only the midas, the motive of the God's blessed light shine, which is the love of God and awe and fear of Him. Like it says in Tikkunim, the six spheres. Like now we're dealing with the counting of the Omer, right? Mm-hmm. And every week we have a different attribute. It's six of the seven. And therefore, you could read a whole longer note about the Kabbalah. You could read that on your own on page 552. It's a good note. And therefore, this is the service of the angels. Yom v'layla, day and night. They're never quiet. They never stop. Angels don't sit down. They stand because when you're in a state of awe and fear, you're always standing at attention. The whole camp, a whole host of Gabriel, who stands for Gevura, is fire, so to speak. And so Gabriel is all about fear, and Michael is all out of love, because they instinctively feel it. Aval by Mabriya, in the world of creation, to a much higher level. Now, much higher means much more developed. What's shining there is not the emotive attributes of God, it's the intellectual attributes of God. So Himakar Midas, and your intellect is your source for your emotions. Hopefully it is. Some people act out without thinking. But like it says in the Kunim, the supernal mother, Bina is the mother, nests in the throat of Olam Abriya. So this level is a much more higher intellectual level. Therefore, that's the abode of the neshamas of tzaddikim. Again, why did the tzaddikim, why do the righteous serve God? Because they appreciate it. They avdi Hashem, they serve Hashem. They also serve God. They're not cold-hearted servants, where they do it out of rote. They serve God with love and fear. But hanim shachais, that is drawn min abina v'das hagdulas and seberchu. They do it because they appreciate how great it is. Sha'avazu nikra rusa deliba k'niskil. This love is called the rusa deliba, the heart's desire. Rusa deliba, and from this heart's desire, from this deep love, this deep intellectual love, nasa levushal neshama l'mabriya. It makes a garment, makes a conduit for the neshama. So Gan Eden Elyon, which the world of Bria is called Gan Eden. So the more you learn, the more you know. The more you know, the more you appreciate. The more you appreciate, the more feelings you can have towards something. So continuing on this idea, every Jew can serve a God in one of two ways. Either because it comes natural to you, but again, that's a lower level. It's nice. Or let's borrow a line from Seinfeld. Not there's anything wrong with that. Or you can serve God because you truly develop it. But that's a little bit, it takes more work because you got to learn and you got to think about it. And when you get to that level, you reach a much higher level. All right, stop here. And next week we'll have to see about class because Yom Tov is Thursday night. Have a good week.